Welcome to lesson 5 of our contact magic block. Today we will discuss the dream eating. It is quite the existential nightmare if you ask me. Dream eating is a traumatic type G magic whose main domain lies in the assimilation of others' dream reality by the host. In the Anglosphere, the common term for them is dream eaters, but in the countries of the Warsaw Pact, the term for them is tapir. Traumatic magic, as the name implies, develops in people as a result of either physical or psychological trauma. In the case of dream eating, the trauma in question is the latter. Dream eaters come from abused children with vivid imagination, whose way of coping with the reality around them is to escape into their imaginary worlds and later be able to borrow the abilities from said worlds from themselves. It is not exactly as strong as dream magic, but it doesn't really need to be, as it's first and foremost a coping mechanism. The way it works is relatively simple, but also a way to counteract them. The dream eater needs an anchor, a human that's asleep. By touching them, they enter into the anchor's dream reality and quote-unquote eat a part of the anchor, gaining some abilities for roughly a day or two before the anchor gets it back and the dream eater loses it again. The anchor needs to be asleep or just generally unconscious, and the eater can only perform his abilities on people who are asleep or unconscious. Dream eater can also just rescind these powers prematurely as well. In case if you're interested, the anchor doesn't die in this process. If anything, depending on their magic or job or lifestyle, it can even be beneficial. The only side effect it has for the anchor is a constant nagging feeling that they've lost something but can't quite figure out what. The more experienced the eater is with his skill set, the more deliberate this process can get. Novice dream eaters usually just get something at random from the anchors they consume, be it their calligraphy or the way they hold spoons or their phobias or some random magical ability. Masters of dream eating, on the other hand, are capable of taking away people's magic entirely and make them their own for 2 days, which is why dream eaters are very sought after by the correctional institutions all over the world. Outside of dream eaters, there are 2 other types of this magic, but unlike other discussed here, these styles are strictly divided between biological sex, that is to say only men or women can get the following magical styles. The dream ghouls are boys whose traumas forced them to imagine themselves as beings capable of solving their problems. Their anchor are not other people, but imaginary versions of themselves. Since they take powers directly from themselves, they can have those powers for up to 4 days instead of regular 2, but the downside to this is that they take powers from themselves. Dream ghouls aren't just assimilating parts of the anchor also assimilates parts of the dream ghoul. Should this go on for long enough, 3 things may occur. 1. The ghoul's dream self fully consumes the real person. This turns the person into a dream demon, which is rarely a good sign. 2. The real person fully consumes the dream self. In that case, the dream ghoul gets an incredibly destructive surge of power and he explodes 4 days later. 3. The dream self and the real self terminate each other, destroying the soul and leaving the person in a vegetative state. The dream weavers, on the other hand, are girls who, after establishing a connection with the dream dimension, have witnessed death and wanted to save the dying person. They can only take the attributes of people who are dying, but in return, not only they're able to use these abilities permanently, they're also able to share these abilities with other people. People with vision. We'll see it as a little line following from the weaver to the target, hence the name. The downside of this magic is that permanently consuming attributes and giving them away is rarely good for one's mental health. You kinda stop understanding where you start and where other people begin. The best way to explain this is to imagine a split personality disorder, but you don't know how many people are there in the system and they all tell you to kill yourself constantly. Or maybe it's you telling them. That is why dream weavers are usually very depressed individuals that need to be heavily drugged to be used properly. Question time! If a dominator orders a skin suit out of himself and wear it from time to time, will his soul regenerate? Can dream-eating magic target non-humans? Can skin suits be influenced by domination or afflatus magic? See you in the lesson about blood magic, the final lesson of our contact magic block.